So, I think I should finally make my own video on this. Prydwen has updated their tier list. Now, I don't think I'm exactly as smart as a lot of other content creators out there. However, I do think my opinions have been at least decent, right? I will not back down from my Ling Shaw takes. I truly still believe that specifically for the upcoming 3.x meta, from all the leaks I've seen, it's seeming like Ling Shaw would technically still be a better pull because Robin just doesn't seem to really be fitting in a lot of these teams. However, one thing I really didn't consider that I'll admit, and I realized after being in a stream with Axe, I think is how you say a name, or AX, right? I'm not sure exactly how you say it. However, he's also a content creator similar to me. Subscribe to him if you want to. And I went in a stream and he was talking to me about Huohuo, and I was also seeing quite a few runs with my day with Huohuo and Herta with Huohuo, and I low-key realized I've been underrating Huohuo a lot, right? Now, this is my own fault. It's mostly because the only team on my account that I can use Huohuo as a best in slot in is the Dot team. So I've never really been able to see her full potential when like a new meta DPS comes out that can actually fully take advantage of her. So Huohuo, in my opinion, is also very, very strong. However, I still have Ling Shaw as my number one sustain in this game over Venturine and over Huohuo. Right, so let's go down. Now, for you guys who do not know, I was saying this since Herta's V3. My take for Herta back then was that Herta at E0S0 was top 3 in MOC, top 3, top 4, top 1 in Pure Fiction, and like top 5 or top 6 in APOC, right? She wasn't anything crazy in APOC, however, she was good enough to clear APOC well. Right, and then in the other two modes, that's where she really shined. So I want to see what Prydwens says. I don't know what's actually on this tier list. I literally just got on this website minutes ago. So we're gonna scroll down together, and I'm gonna see what I think about it. Right. So Fei Xiao, Firefly, and Herta are at the absolute top. Now this does make sense, right? I don't think anyone's exactly surprised by this. I actually, Okay, so this is MOC. I have to say that for this specific MOC, I think Rappa and Boot Hill should be up here. I do think they should be, right? I don't see why only Firefly is here, especially considering Fugue benefited these two way more than she benefited Firefly. Don't get me wrong, Firefly is still like very, very strong. I've seen E0S0 zero cycles of the Svarog side. However, I do think Rappa and Boot Hill should be up here, right? I think Acheron is fine here because Acheron does have a pretty significant fall off without her Lycone. But I do think Boot Hill and Rappa should be up here in T0. And Fei Xiao, at least personally in this MOC, has been performing a lot worse for me because of the Trotters. So I don't know how I feel about her being T0, but that could just be a skill issue on my end, right? It was really easy for me to clear Fei Xiao on the last MOC, and it was significantly harder this time around. Topaz is up here in T0, probably almost only because of Fei Xiao. It is what it is. Ruan Mei and Robin are T0, makes sense. Aventurine and Ling Shaw are T0. This all makes sense, right? I don't want to go super down here because I don't really care about this. But T0.5 and T0 does make sense for the most part. And I agree with it because Ruan Mei benefits 3 or 4 different DPSs in the break comp. Zhao Q, he only really benefits Acheron for the most part at E0S0, so it makes sense for him to be a tier lower. And Robin is currently like the number 1 must-pull Harmony for talking to 2.x teams, so it makes complete sense for her to be up here. There's not really another more universal Harmony in the game outside of maybe Ruan Mei. However, because of how strong Robin is, she does replace Ruan Mei in most of those teams. I do think Sunday's value will go up in the future, right? I'm not like a lot of these content creators who are afraid to talk about leaks. If you follow my channel, you know I constantly talk about leaks, so I do know a bit about the future DPS's kits and what's going to be up and coming. I have full confidence that Sunday will end up becoming T0 within the next few patches. However, there's nothing here I disagree with outside of Rappa and Boot Hill. I think they should be put in T0 as well. Pure Fiction, this was obvious. Everyone saw this coming. Lingshaw is the number one sustain for Pure Fiction. It's not really any type of argument. Jade and Small Herta are up here, probably because of Big Herta, right? I mean, in the first place, Small Herta has been carrying us, right? Carrying us throughout Pure Fiction since the very beginning of this game, alongside Himiko. So the fact that she can now be put in like a meta DPS's team will only further her value in Pure Fiction. And she's completely free. It's honestly really nice. So Big Herta's T0, top 1, top dog. There's nothing you can do about it, right? Jingyuan, Argenti, Rappa, Akron, I don't disagree with this at all. I don't disagree with the supports either or the sustains. Yeah, there's nothing I really disagree with here at all. I think this list is actually perfect for T0 and T0.5. And then next we have Apocalyptic Shadow, where she's T0.5. Okay, so I was right? I think Prydwens has the exact same mindset as me with the Big Herta. I thought Big Herta wouldn't be T0 in APOC, but would be T0 in MOC in Pure Fiction. So I'm glad I was right? I'm actually really glad. Because my guesses were in the leak stages, like after the V3. I was guessing this at the time during the leaks. She did get further buffs to her Eidolons later on after the V3. However, this is specifically E0S0, so it's nice to know that I was kind of right? Boot Hill is T0, not surprising. Fei Xiao, all the break DPSs, they absolutely demolish Apocalyptic Shadow without even trying. Topaz is T0 because of, Fei Xiao. Robin, Ruan Mei, Fugue. I don't see anything wrong with this. Yeah, everything here makes complete sense. Yep, Aventurine is really good against APOC bosses, especially if they're imaginary weak. And we have Ling Sha. So, honestly, perfect in my opinion. I don't see anything wrong with this at all. I don't see anything wrong with it at all. Wait. Is Remembrance Trailblazer really that low? Is he really that... Oh, Aglaya isn't out. Never mind. I think when Aglaya comes out, Remembrance Trailblazer might go up to T0.5. Remembrance Trailblazer is like one of the most universal supports in the entirety of the game. I don't think he deserves to be in Tier 1 alongside a Sparkle, Pela, and Branya. Like, I feel like for most teams, Remembrance MC is over these three for a lot of DPSs. However, I'm sure Remembrance MC's value will be shown more with future DPSs, leading to him obviously climbing the ranks. However, I do think that even now, it would make sense to put him in around T0.5 with Harmony Trailblazer. I understand why Harmony Trailblazer is a rank above here. It's mostly because of the fact that he can benefit 3 different break DPSs, and they're all extremely meta in here, right? Like, break is the meta for Apocalyptic Shadow, so I understand why he's a rank higher. I'm iffy on this, right? I can let it slide. I 100% can let it slide. However, I hope that within the next few patches, he does go up to T0.5, because Remembrance MC is genuinely, like, really, really strong, right? So, that's about it. I don't really want to go on the things lower than it, because I don't have many takes over that. I just really wanted to see where the Herta would rank, and she ranks perfectly, exactly as I expected at E0S0. At E1 and E2, I think it becomes a different show, right? Specifically the Herta, she might be T0 and APOC with E1 and E2 if I had to guess. Because the E2 specifically gives her an action advance after using enhanced skill, and gives her 2 enhanced skills instead of 1 after using ult. So she becomes significantly stronger once you hit that E2. And even the E1 as well is a massive, massive buff. I don't think there's a single DPS E1 that's on par with the Hertas outside of Fireflies. However, Fireflies break, so it's hard to really compare to a crit DPS. You know what I'm saying? However, Herta does have like the best E1 and E2 for crit DPS in the game, hands down, in my opinion. So do keep that in mind. This is E0S0. However, even with Eidolons, the Herta would only scale even higher. And her light cone's good, right? A lot of people have constantly asked me, do I pull the light cone, right? Is it a necessity? I don't think it's a necessity, but it's a good quality of life, right? I was lucky enough to get the light cone in 110 pull at 0 pity. However, if I did not get that light cone, I would have just skipped her and ended up going with my normal route, which was Castress and Phanon, right? So do keep that in mind, that the light cone isn't necessary. However, if you especially are running her with someone like Ling Sha, who wants to skill as often as possible to regenerate energy and generate stacks for the Herta, you are probably going to want that light cone, right? Because you're going to be using skill on small Herta with probably Passkey. You're going to be using skill on Ling Sha, and you're going to be trying to use your skill as much as possible as well on your the Herta. So this comp is very unskill point friendly, and the light cone can genuinely be a good game changer, right? So that's all I have to say. Quick video on my thoughts on the Prydwens tier list. I'm glad that I was right. Hopefully, I'm as well right with Aglaia. Aglaia, in my opinion, is pretty close to the Herta. I'd say she'd probably get the exact same ranking, right? I don't know if they're going to put Aglaia alongside the Herta. However, I do think Aglaia might be stronger than all four of these in Pure Fiction. I haven't actually seen gameplay of Aglaia in Pure Fiction before, so I can't fully speak on this, but I'm just guessing from how Aglaia plays, her high speed, the fact that she does good damage the more mobs are on field. Aglaia will probably be T0 alongside Herta, and will probably be T0 as well alongside all these DPSs, because for those of you who don't know, in my opinion, Aglaia in her optimal team with a Huohuo, Sunday, and like a Remembrance MC or a Robin, right? In that specific team, when you have all the optimal teammates for her, she is probably the strongest DPS in the entirety of the game with a sustain. Right? If you were to run Herta sustainless versus Aglaia sustainless, Herta would shine more. However, with a sustain in specific, I'm going to be completely honest, Aglaia is seeming to be the strongest DPS in the entirety of the game. However, do keep in mind, with Eidolon, investment in the Herta and Aglaia, Herta does just scale better even with a sustain, right? So do keep that in mind. I think Aglaia will be the exact same fucking thing. T0.5, T0, T0. So I hope you all have a good day. Hope you all have a good night. Peace.